there, and welcome back to the Chap's Guide. If we haven't met before, my name is Ash, and I'm the curator of this channel. Now, the Chap's Guide is a place where we come together to talk about lifestyle tips and just any advice that can help us on our journeys to being the best chaps that we can be. Now, on a previous video, I've talked about my shoe care regime, and I've demonstrated how I look after a normal pair of shoes or boots. And I think that was quite well received by people. I got a lot of questions after that video about the products I use and what do I keep in my shoe box of all of the bits and pieces that I use to stay on top of conditioning, nourishing, polishing my shoes and boots as part of my daily regime. So I thought today, just a quick one, I'm going to show you my actual shoe care box and what I actually use on a day-to-day basis to keep my shoes looking tip-top. So let's just bring the camera in a bit closer and I'll show you what I've got here. Let's talk about my shoe care box and the bits and pieces that I use. But before I come on to the actual shoe care box I use, I want to show you something that I don't use. And this is one of those typical shoe care kits that you might get as a gift at Christmas, birthday or whatever. And you know, when you receive them, you're very grateful and you think to yourself, ooh, I can make use of that. And this is a good example. This is quite a high quality one actually. Cost about £50. It was a gift from my wife a number of years ago. And within it, there are a couple of pots of shoe polish. This is one called Top Shine, which is a British produced shoe polish. As you can see, it's quite old and the actual polish has shrunk away to nothing, so quite dehydrated. I have used these polishes in the past and they're not too bad, but moved on from that now. Also inside, a couple of daubers. I don't actually use these daubers anymore when I'm polishing my shoes. A shoe horn, very useful. I do use one of these pretty much every day. A single shoe brush, quite small in size, and then there's a couple of sort of buffers, which you know, sort of a furry type, minky type interior. These are okay, these shoe kits, you know, but in reality, in practical application, I don't think they would fulfill the needs of what you need. So, I mean, put that aside, get rid of that. I'll show you what my actual shoe kit looks like. And this is what it is. It's not pretty. It's not half as attractive as the one I've just showed you. But in reality, this is just a simple wooden box that I've acquired from IKEA, somewhere like that. And I'll show you what I've got inside. So first of all, I've got a cloth. Now this cloth I've had for about 10 years. It used to be a table protector, you know, from when you're having a meal, a plate sort of cloth. And I use this to just throw over my knee because I normally do my shoe polishing in I've got a dressing room upstairs next to my bedroom, and I tend to polish my shoes in there. So I throw this over my knee so that whatever I'm wearing is protected. I've used it all the time. It does its job. Thanks very much. What else have I got in here? Well, I'll come back to this one in a moment. But what I do have is lots of cloths. Now, I don't use these daubers. I've got probably one that I have used in the past, this sort of thing. I'm not a big fan of these for when it comes to the application of polish. I think it's not accurate enough and you don't really get a feel for where the polish is going. Now there's different types, there's this type as well. I occasionally use these sort of things for going around the welt, the edging of a shoe, but in reality, not much use. I also think they're very uneconomical when it comes to the use of polish because you get a lot of stuff on there which doesn't end up on the shoe, gets flicked around and all sorts of things. So what I tend to use is a cloth. And you can see these are well used. Basically, I cut bits of material off old shirts when they've come to the end of their life. And what I normally do, I just wrap them around the finger, just like that. And this is how I apply my polish. Rather than using a dauber, I will use a cloth which is wrapped around the finger. You get a feel for the shoe as well. And the leather, you know you're getting in all the nooks and crannies. I just find it a far more efficient and productive way of making sure you get a good liberal amount of polish over the shoe. Same goes for when I'm applying things like shoe conditioner, shoe cream. I always use one of these. In fact, I never throw them away. The dirtier, the more colour on them, the better as far as I'm concerned. And you know, it's just a bit of cotton cloth. It's a shirt which has left my service. Now, when it comes to brushes, Some people can get a bit funny about their brushes. This is a 100% horsehair brush. I've got two, as you can see, one for darks and one for lights. I tend to use this one for black only and very dark brown, and this one for all my other colours. Tend to wear a lot of burgundy oxblood shoes, so you can probably see a little bit of discoloration on there. Again, 100% horsehair. The only difference is this has got sort of neutral shade bristles. These have clearly been dyed black. Why do I like these? They're quite large, you'll notice. That means you get a good bit of friction, good bit of heat building up when you're brushing the shoe. Quite a long bristle as well, so it gets into all the nooks and crannies. I do, as a matter of course, wear quite a lot of brogue shoes, so it's important to have a brush that's going to get into the little broguing and make sure that any sort of superfluous material which hasn't been used in the polishing process, the creams and polishes, gets removed or buffed into the shoe, into the leather to do its job. You don't have to pay a huge amount of money for these. I bought both these pairs of individual brushes in a cobbler's shop in London. Even in London, one of the most expensive cities in the world, these only cost £16 each. And that can sound a lot if you intend to, if you've previously bought your brushes in a pound shop or a dollar shop, wherever you are in the world. But I've had these brushes for many years, and I tell you what, they're getting better as time goes on. As the sort of, the bristles sort of form into their shapes, and, the little deposits of material of, left little bits behind on the brush, I find these are getting better and better. In fact, when I first bought them, they were less effective at brushing things off than they are now, and it's at least 5 or 6 years down the road. So well worth spending £15-16 on a brush. You don't have to. If you're starting off curating a very simple shoebox full of bits and pieces, you can spend £1 or £2. Get a synthetic bristled brush, but always have a plan that when the future comes and the opportunity arises, treat yourself to some nice horsehair bristled brushes. What else is in here? Well, they're the sort of the 3 steps to looking after your shoes. So the first step, of course, will be, let's have a look, some form of conditioning cream. Now I use Sophia Renovator, or Renovator if you're an English speaker such as I. This is a very good base product which can be applied to shoes and boots of all kinds other than suede. And it's very, very useful to nourish the leather, to make sure that the leather is hydrated, that it's protected in the wintertime, as it is now. It is February where I am. This product is great for, replenishing the leather after it's been exposed to wet, cold, salt on the pavements, things like that in a British winter time. You can use tons of this stuff. It can't harm the shoe. It's good for any colour. So you can apply it to anything, and it is a fantastic product by the French manufacturer Sophia, who I think it's fair to say probably rule the roost when it comes to shoe care products. It's not horrifically expensive, 15, 16, 17 pounds. One pot, it lasts me 18 months or so. I use it religiously, but not in such huge quantities that I need to buy more than 1 pot a year. So it's not a massive investment when you consider that the shoes I'm applying it to and protecting with this stuff are a couple of £100. And I want to keep those shoes going for many, many years. So that would be my first step in my shoe care regime, as you would have seen if you've seen some of the videos I've done before. Now, also in here is the next step for me, that is a shoe cream. Now, a lot of people might jump ahead to the shoe polish step, but actually shoe cream is what should be, or is probably best used most of the time, because shoe cream again nourishes the leather. It also protects the leather. This has got quite a few oils and other sort of products within it and waxes that can not only protect the leather, but also, can give it a shine. Additionally, there's quite a strong pigment in this. A lot more pigment is found in shoe cream, particularly Sophia, than the polish that you typically apply to your shoes as the next stage. So shoe cream, I use this, on a weekly basis on shoes when I'm wearing them regularly, and well worth, again, anything from 15 to 20 pounds. Saphir, best in the world, comes in a whole range of colours, and I, over the years, have curated a collection of colours. That was a brown. This is a mahogany, because I tend to wear a lot of oxbloods and burgundies. There's a burgundy, and I do tend to use that quite a lot. So, well worth building a little collection of those. And that's, you'll find quite a few of them in my shoebox, because once you've bought these, you're buying them for years. Although 15 quid sounds a lot, 15 to 20 pounds for a shoe cream, I've had this in this box for probably about 3 years. I'll open it up and let's have a look. It's not even half done. This mid brown is a colour which I use quite often, a lot of shoes in that colour, and it goes a long way. And actually, just by taking the lid off, it reminds me that Saphir products, they are just so much more, the quality exudes from them. Even taking the lid off, the smell, you can tell that this is a higher quality product. It isn't overtly chemical like you might get with a lower quality shoe cream. It definitely has a bit more of an organic, natural smell to it, and I think that would be reflected in its products. There's definitely beeswax, canuba wax, and lots of other waxes contained in this, which are obviously natural in their nature, but when combined together by Saphir, they do indeed create for us a little bit of shoe care magic. And again, they last a long time, so worth putting a few pounds into that. Now, for me, the next step would be polish. And I've got quite a bit of shoe polish of all different kinds in here. So let's have a look. There's a Saphir. Well, that one is pretty much catch-all colour there. There's a neutral. So this is Saphir's Medal d'Or. This is neutral, in fact, polish. And I've got it in brown, dark brown. I've got it in different colours in there. Black, of course, as well. And this shoe polish is excellent. If you're looking to acquire a mirror shine to your shoes, shoe polish, wax polish, is the way to go. This Medal d'Or is the upper of the wax polish products which Saphir produce. They do have lower quality products, but the Medal d'Or is the top end. Again, 15 to 20 pounds a pot. A pot of this stuff, which is, 50 millilitres, should last, years and years. Within these things, this is neutral, as you can see. You can't really see any colour there, but they go on and on and on, because only a small amount of this is required in the wax polishing process. So basically, for me, when I'm looking after a pair of shoes in sort of weekly maintenance regime, I would be applying the Renovator just to nourish the shoe. I would be applying the shoe cream, which Saphir called Pomadia, so it's Pomadia shoe cream. And then I would be applying after that the wax polish, which protects the shoe. It gives it that sort of little overcoat of wax, which is great for, dispelling fluids and waters and salt and gravel when you're walking around in the winter. It also, of course, imparts a wonderful shine. And if you want to take it to the next level, that's where you would use, the next product I'm going to talk about. So these would be my base products that I always have in the shoebox: Renovator, Pomadia shoe cream, and Medal d'Or cream polish by Saphir. Now, I should say I am in no way sponsored by Saphir. I'd love to be, but I'm merely talking about these as the primary product I use, because I've used other types. Over here you can see I've got a kiwi shoe polish in here. I like this dark tan colour. It is a very good colour. It is not replicated by anything that Saphir does. And I've got one or two pairs of boots which Kiwi produced this wonderful dark tan. It's got a reddy burgundy colour, which is just right. So I've always got a tin of that in there as well. Loke, for instance, I do use Loke shoes quite a lot, and they have a collection of polish, luxury beeswax polish, which is, I'm not entirely sure, but I got to suspect that Saphir has got a hand in that too. They obviously produce polish products for many of the big brands, but I do keep other products in there as well as I need them. Moving on to the next step though, if you're a big shoe care enthusiast, somebody like me, there's one step you can take it, and that is the Saphir Medal d'Or Mirror Gloss. Now, when you've applied these three other basic ones, and you want to get that mirror, that spit polish sign, perhaps on the toe cap of your shoe, the Mirror Gloss is the next step that you would take. Basically, to acquire a mirror gloss, you would need to keep applying layer and layer after polish until the polish has filled in basically all the sort of little pimples, divots, or whatever it would be naturally applying, the pores in the leather of the shoe, so that there's a sort of gloss layer over the top, and then when you've acquired that, you just bring it up to a shine by going over and over it with a cloth or whatever. It's hard to do that with the basic wax polish because it's quite moist, quite slippery. This stuff, this Medal d'Or mirror gloss, basically works by being a lot drier. It's a very dry polish. You do need a lot of water to work it. It goes on forever. I mean, I've had this pot, since they brought mirror gloss out, 4 years, something like that. And, you hardly go through this stuff in any great amount. So when you buy it, and it's about 20 quid a pot, it's not cheap. But if you are a shoe aficionado and you want to get the very best out of a pair of your shoes, you'll make the investment because you're making the investment for many years. And this is something which can really speed up the way in which you acquire that mirror gloss. So these are the 4 products which are always to be found within my shoe box. Also in there are the things which I use to help me achieve that gloss. So when using sort of mirror gloss and the shoe cream, I see a lot of other people, they use the old cloth, as I showed earlier, wrapped around the finger, and they will apply the polish over and over again until those layers are achieved. I have always preferred these small discs of sort of cotton wool type thing. I'm going to show you, this is where they come from. This is one from a British supermarket, but they're cosmetic pads. They're kind of formed cotton wool, and I use one of these things. What I tend to do, I will fold it up and then acquire a sort of little pad of it, and I will use that in the application of the polish. I will wet that using a little spritzer. I use one of these little spritz bottles, little squirty bottle, in which I will apply the fluid to either the pad or the surface which I'm working on, the toe cap of the shoe typically, just to allow that polish to work in and acquire the gloss. I do intend to make a video on the application of a mirror gloss to a pair of shoes, but that's what I prefer anyway. And then sometimes when I've come to the end, I use a little buffing pad just to go over the shoe, just to make sure there are no streaks, no marks, and that brings it up to its finest gloss. This is something I made myself. It's a block of wood, and I've just taken a microfiber cloth from Costco. They come in big bags of them. I think they're normally sold for use on the car, but they're very useful around the house anyway. And I've just stretched that over a block of wood. I've used a staple gun or whatever just to nail it in place, and then I've been using this as my shoe buffing pad or buffer for quite a few years now. And it absolutely does a fantastic job. As you can see, a lot of polish is transferred through to that. And this is basically what I keep in my shoebox. The 4 really important components are, the products I use here. I use less of the Sapphire Mirror Gloss. This comes in all different colours, but I use black and neutral because it covers pretty much everything I've got. I use my wax polish, my Pomadia shoe cream, and the Renovator. If I had to use one thing and one thing only, and I had to drop everything else, it would be the shoe cream, because the shoe cream does pretty much what all the other friends do here, but it doesn't it doesn't give you a mirror gloss, it doesn't impart that all over wax polish, it doesn't condition the shoe, but it does a pretty good job of doing a little bit of all of those things. And if you had to buy one product alone that would get you started off, it would be shoe cream. You wouldn't go far wrong. Shoe cream along with a good brush, and you're on your way. So that's what I keep in my shoe box. Simple box, just, anything to keep it in really. Keeps it all together, easy to hand. That way you're more inclined to use it if it's there and ready when you need it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little insight into what I keep in my shoe care box and the sort of things which I use, what products I use on a daily basis. Hopefully, it'll help you in curating your own shoe care box and all the bits and pieces that you need to stay on top of the footwear, particularly winter and all those challenging times where your leather shoes get put under a lot of pressure. Now, you don't have to spend a pile of money on it, but I put a few links in the description box below which might help you get some bargains online. So good luck with that. Thanks for listening today. If you want to support the channel, please do subscribe, click the like button and the little bell notification. That means you won't miss any future material that we put out. And don't forget to engage with me in the comments box. I really enjoy listening to your thoughts and views and observations on what we've talked about on the Chap's Guide. And don't forget, suggest other topics as well, because I'm always looking for new ideas of things to bring to you, to discuss with you, and what we can do together. So thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you again very soon.